Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for tuning in on the Engine Builder Show. On today's topic, we'll be talking about three keys to pay attention to when hiring a new team member. If you like the sound of that, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Good morning, everybody.
There was always a ton to learn. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well. If you get to catch this live, definitely drop a comment down in below, say hello. And if you are watching live, happy Friday. You made it through the end of the week, which is always a good thing. And as always, I'm just super grateful that you're tuning in and just really appreciate you being a part of my online family. And today, I want to talk about three keys to pay attention to when hiring a new team member, like Jethro said. And the reason I want to talk about this is yesterday we talked about how, as entrepreneurs, we need to delegate successfully and effectively in order to grow. And related to that, obviously, is making sure that we bring in the right team members to help us. And I have, I wish I would have kept track because it would have been interesting, but I estimate that I probably hired in different companies, different roles, and then over the years, I have probably hired over 1,000 people, and been involved in firing people, unfortunately, too. And it's been something that's been a skill that I've had to develop. And early on, I definitely wasn't good at it. I would hire for the wrong reasons and then get bad results from that. But over time, I've learned some of the keys that are really helpful in recruiting the right team members, bringing in people that are really aligned and are a good fit. And so we'll talk about that today, and hopefully this will be useful to you. And of course, if you need any help or have any thoughts or comments about this, drop it down below, and I'd be glad to respond and help you there. So the first thing that I always look at when I'm recruiting is attitude, and the reason for that is because people that have a positive attitude, that are interested in engaging, that talk about how they've jumped in and solved problems, and they're active, they're proactive, they have that type of attitude. Those are the kind of folks that have a chance of being successful. And there's more to it that we're going to get into here. But one of the things that we've been doing for years now is asking folks to, when they're completing an application with us, especially since we're a full service marketing firm and we do a lot digitally, and we're a fully distributed remote team. One of the things we ask the applicant to do is record a short Loom video as part of their application. The reason for that is kind of multifaceted, but one of the key reasons is I can very quickly see, and so can the other managers on our team that are hiring, I can very quickly see if somebody's engaged, excited, if they have a positive attitude, if they want to be here, or if they're really flat, if they don't do the video, then that's a red flag and we don't even consider them. But even if they do the video, and I can see that it's a chore to them, they're bored, they're not showing up enthusiastically, then if they can't show up with a little bit of enthusiasm and a positive attitude just in a simple application, then it stands to reason that they're probably not going to show up with a positive attitude to work every day. And so that's the first thing I look at is attitude. And so I look at how they write their responses in an application. I look at how they fill out that, or how they record that Loom video to see how they're going to communicate, show up, because attitude determines altitude, as somebody says. I can't remember who says that, but that quote always sticks with me. And the attitude that we show up with determines how far we're going to go and how successful we're going to be. And so that's the first thing I look at. The second thing, the second really key to focus on as you're recruiting, in my experience and opinion, is character. And so character for me is somebody committing to do something and showing up and doing it, and keeping their word, and dealing with things that may be challenging, or just really showing up with that true character of how they're going to show up in different situations. And so and who they are as a person, their honesty, their integrity, and things like that. And so if they have a positive attitude, then they're going to have an opportunity to interview with us. And then in our interviews, we almost always do group interviews, because it actually increases the pressure in that interview, which is intentional. And so if somebody shows up early then that shows me who they are as a person, that they value their time, they value our time, and that speaks to the character of who they are. And so I will often, I don't do much of the recruiting anymore, but when I am involved in it, and when I used to do it in the past for our team, I would actually pull up the meeting, and I can see who's joined the meeting before the scheduled time. So if the interview was at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'll get on about 10 minutes earlier, and I can just see who's going to show up early to the interview. And that shows me who they are and if they care, and just the character and the integrity of the person. That's a really small thing. And then I'll talk about how I can further validate these assumptions here in a minute. But that, just who they are as a person, their honesty, how they show up, being intentional about, being early it matters to me. And I realize that sometimes people have internet issues or other challenges, or if you're doing an in-person interview, there are things that come up, but the prepared people that really are intentional about how they show up in life have backup plans, leave early to get to the interview. They're thinking about the outcome that they want, and I think that just speaks to the character of who they are. And so the third thing that I look at it then is their skill. So the skill set is really the last thing on the list to me. It's important, but it's lower priority, because if they have a positive attitude, if they demonstrate integrity and good character, then I'm like, great, now that the most important things are accounted for, now we can look at your skill set, because I can train your skill set. I can give you training. We have amazing training internally. We have amazing consultants and trainers that we bring in every year. We invest heavily in our team all the time. And so if you need to level up your skill set, that's a very easy problem to solve. But what I can't necessarily change is your attitude or your character. And so those are the things that I look at first. And so while we're screening for those things in the application process, what truly determines if somebody's going to be a good fit on our team long term is we will often we'll bring in 2 people for one position, and say very upfront and very transparently, we'll say, we have one slot open. But with that said, we typically bring in 2 people for a 2-week trial, and then we're going to award the position to one person. We've done that over the years. And even now, when we don't do that as much, we still bring somebody in and say, hey, you're going to be on a 2-week trial, and then you're going to be on a 90-day trial. And during that 2 weeks, we confirm what we thought we saw indicators of having a good attitude, having the character, the honesty, being the person that we want them to be, in our culture and on our team. And then confirming that they do have enough of the skill set, or a great skill set, either way, that we can train and grow, from there. And so over that 2-week period, we'll have them work closely with an established leader on our team, and we'll have them, mentor them and teach them and see if they truly do have the skill set that they represented. And, more importantly, if they have a positive attitude, and if they just demonstrate the type of character that we're looking for. And so using that trial basis, or doing a test project with a team member, potential team member, allows us to see them in the real world, in our workforce, on the team, and giving, the type of results that we're looking for. Or if we see, which this has happened, a handful of times for sure, we see that they don't show up on time for the first day of work. They start to have a bad attitude, and, they really aren't honest about some of the things that are going on or the challenges they're having, then that speaks to attitude and character issue. And it doesn't matter to me what kind of skill they have, because your skill is irrelevant if you don't have the right attitude and the right character to go along with it. And so both in the interview and the application process, I look at attitude, character, and, signals of what type of skill there is. Again, that's just kind of a preview of what might be there. And then if it does feel like this person is a good fit, then we'll say, hey, let's do a trial project or a trial basis for a couple of weeks, and then let's see if it's a good fit. Let's see if it's a good fit for you, if you like our team, and let's see if it's a good fit for us, and if we feel like you're a good fit and well aligned with us. And so that's how I view, the recruiting and the hiring process. And there's a couple other things just to kind of keep in mind with it. One is, if you haven't hired a lot of team members yet, then it's going to be a skill set that you have to develop, and you're not going to be perfect at it day one. And so just be patient with yourself and go through the process with grace for you and for the people that are coming through the process. And then the second thing is, I would encourage you to have a written process and standards and clear applications, and just a process that you follow that will allow you to be as objective as possible, with some clear qualifiers around attitude, around their character, around the skill set, that you want them to have, and anything else that's required in your space and in your industry that you need. And that way, instead of just liking somebody, which is great, I like a lot of people, but instead of just liking somebody, you have more of an objective process to follow. And additionally, on top of that, and you may not have the team or the resource for this in the beginning, but it's definitely a good idea to take somebody through an interview with you, an interview with another person on your team, if you do have anybody on the team yet, or find somebody that would be willing to, even if you hire a consultant or a fellow entrepreneur, if you pay them a little bit or ask, trade favors and ask them to interview this person for you, then you'll get a second opinion and a second set of eyes on it before you make a huge investment of bringing a new team member on. So those are the type of things that I've learned over the years. I definitely encourage you as well to make sure that you definitely get legal advice and get an HR professional involved, because I can't give you any advice on that front. I'm just sharing my experience and some of the things that I've done, and you definitely want to make sure that you're legal and compliant in whatever space you're in. But just keep in mind, my experience has been the three keys, and kind of in order of importance, are what is their attitude like? Attitude is key. What is their character like? Do they do what they say they're going to do? Are the little details important to them, of showing up on time and communicating accurately and honestly, and just really representing themselves well there? And then third, and it is important, but kind of third on the list for me, is where is their skill set at? And if they're teachable, if they have the good attitude, if they have the character, you can level up that skill set. And so those are the keys that have been really helpful for me in hiring and bringing in new team members. And I hope that's useful to you. And we will see you next time on the show.